guys, Rachel here. I thought that I would do an app present for March. So to update you all, I am better. I thought that I was getting sick again, but I think it was just the cold weather that came in, and sometimes that just makes me feel really run down and icky. I tend to get really tired when I'm sick, but it didn't develop into anything. So I've been good. I've been good for the past few days, and today we went to the movies, the IMAX, to see Dune Part 2. So here's the first movie, and I don't really want to give away any spoilers to any of you who plan on seeing it, but it was excellent, and we just had a ball afterwards during dinner, my boyfriend and I talking about feudalism and natural resources, ecology, and Lawrence of Arabia. So if you've seen some of my earlier videos, you probably know that I'm a big fan of Frank Herbert, and I read all of the books in the Dune series. I forget how many there are. Frank Herbert passed away before he could finish the series, but he had a basic outline in a manuscript left behind. So I read all of those books and I finished them last year. And I would say that my favorites of the series are the first book, Dune, and then book number 4, God Emperor of Dune. They're all good. 2 and 3 are pretty good too, but if I had to choose, it's hard for me to choose between these two. They're both so beautifully written. I love the character of Jessica. I love Chani too. I have to read the books again, even though I didn't read them that long ago, but I believe film Chani is a little different. Yeah, I love Jessica. Here's my Funko Pop. So let's see. What else? What have we been doing? So, we bought a new bed a couple of weeks ago, which is something that we've been talking about for ages, which is very, very exciting. It hasn't arrived yet. Oh, I forgot Godzilla's sitting here with me. See, I was trying to show him in my last video, but I couldn't fit him in the frame. And he's shaking because he shakes. He shakes when you hug him or when you clap your hands. Pretty funny. What else have I been up to in March? As I said, I've been sick, so I'm better now. It's getting hot all of a sudden. It was very cold in the house, but I tend to get warm when I film. I don't know if it's because I get nervous. So silly. I'm such a dork. Sorry, this is all over the place. So yeah, I was sick and we didn't really do much, nothing too exciting to report. I already went over the books that I read, and I'm still working on the same books that I mentioned I was reading in my book video. So, that's been going well. I'm probably going to finish the Jim Morrison biography in the next couple of days, actually, and then maybe I will give you some of my thoughts on that. We have been watching a lot of movies, my daughter and I, and my boyfriend. So where to start? Okay, West Side Story. So I wanted my daughter to see it. She's a dancer. She loves musicals, and West Side Story, music by Bernstein and lyrics by Sondheim, just beautiful. I listened to my CD so much as a teenager that I wore the disc out. I should probably replace that. Whoops. See, when you I just popped the DVD case and it set them off. So anyway, we went to watch West Side Story, and we had a copy on DVD. So I pulled this off the shelf. Now, this was part of my boyfriend's collection, not something that I bought. And right off the bat, it said, "This film has been formatted to fit your TV screen." And I was like, no. And my boyfriend and my daughter was like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? I'm like, it's not letterbox. It's not widescreen. And we're like, well, let's just try it. I'm like, okay, fine. So we watched maybe 3-4 minutes and I'm like, no. So I turned it off and I streamed it through Prime or something, and it was widescreen, and I was like, yes, this is so much better. And repeatedly throughout the film, my boyfriend and my daughter teased me. They're like, yeah, this is so different. And I'm like, shut up. I'm like, it is so much better. I'm like, no. West Side Story is far too beautiful of a film to be seen all chopped up. All right. So let's see, what else did we watch? Bringing Up Baby. This is 1938, directed by Howard Hawks, stars Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant. I don't want to give any spoilers. If you're into films like me, then I'm sure, especially if you're into comedies, you probably know this. Classic screwball. But I don't want to give anything away because if you've never seen it or you don't know the synopsis, just right off the bat, it's funny. It just starts right off with Cary Grant and it makes you laugh. And it's like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? So this was a ball. We had so much fun with that. Okay. The 7-Year Itch, directed by Billy Wilder. This is 1955, I believe. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's 1955. This is another one of my favorite films. This has the iconic Marilyn Monroe scene. Sorry for the glare, that everybody knows. It's from this movie. So this was based on the stage play. I forget who wrote the play, but Tom Ewell here broke that role in on stage, and then he starred in the film as well, and he's awesome. So what else did I want to say about this? Marilyn Monroe is so good in this. It's so good. I think a lot of the best classic comedies were adapted from the stage to screen. Like Arsenic and Old Lace is another one that was a stage play. There's so many. I just love it. The Rachmaninoff. That's one of the quotes from the movie. Tom Ewell's character likes to play the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2 on record, and I feel like if I were a dude with my wife away for the summer and I wanted to bring dames in, I would probably play them Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2. No. But if you know, you know. I highly recommend this. This is so good, so well done. City Lights, directed by Charlie Chaplin, score by Charlie Chaplin, stars Charlie Chaplin. My daughter hadn't seen this one before, and it's brilliant. So to listen to her belly laugh to Charlie Chaplin is like one of the best sounds in the world, that people, especially young people in this day and age, can still appreciate this and get a kick out of it. It was just so awesome. We watched some other musicals. Guys and Dolls, that's a favorite of my boyfriend's. We had fun with that. Royal Wedding is another really good one. Some of the best dance scenes in that film. You know, sometimes the stories are a little, okay, just sort of cute, nothing too exciting, but the dance numbers, oh my gosh, that's a Fred Astaire, Jane Powell dancing musical. Okay, so after having watched Dr. Zhivago so recently, as I mentioned in my last video, directed by David Lean, I told my daughter that we need to watch Lawrence of Arabia, and she's like, well, because she had seen it on the DVD shelf and she was intrigued by it, and I'm like, oh yeah, we have to see that, especially because we're going to go see Dune Part 2, because Frank Herbert it's obvious was heavily influenced by the character of, well, it's a real person, T.E. Lawrence, Thomas Edward Lawrence. So yeah, I'm not to give away any spoilers. This is based on a true story, you know, heavily romanticized, directed by David Lean in 1961, stars Peter O'Toole, and Omar Sharif is in it, and Alec Guinness, Claude Rains. It's based on, sorry, I lost my wording. In World War I, the British were willing to help the Arab peoples with their fight against the Turks, because the Turks were allies of Germany. So anyway, long story short, this man here, you know, Lawrence, Frank Herbert sort of modeled Paul Atreides in Dune on this guy here and the desert. So, and the director of Dune, Denis Villeneuve, I think he mentioned, of course, he would use the film by David Lean, directed by David Lean, as an inspiration. Lawrence of Arabia is one of the most beautiful films ever. And the score by Maurice Jarre, who also did the music for Dr. Zhivago, it's a masterpiece. I read, years and years ago, I read T.E. Lawrence's book that chronicles the events that you see in the film. Read it such a long time ago. I probably need to read it again. And another book that I read that's really good is A Peace to End All Peace: The Fall of the Ottoman Empire and the Creation of the Modern Middle East. And it just really explains to you the mess that we all created. But it's, I don't want to say fascinating, but yeah, it's worth a read if you're into interested in the history. So let's see. The Boyfriend, 1971, directed by Ken Russell. Does anyone know this film? I highly, highly recommend this to anyone who loves the 20s and the 30s. This is based on a musical. I think it was a musical from the 1950s. I think it was Sandy Wilson, maybe. It's basically, it's kind of a satire on the entertainment from the 1920s, the songs and the musicals of the 1930s. All those really silly, cheesy little plots, and it's a pastiche of the time, and it is so well done. It is an artistic dream. It's so visionary. It's amazing. And if you know Ken Russell, this this is not offensive at all. You can watch this with your family. If you watch it with your family and get offended by something, I'm so sorry. But I wasn't sure. I had watched this on my own before letting my daughter see it. And there's nothing in here. Like, if you've seen, you know, some of his other films, like The Devils, it is nothing like that. And Twiggy stars in this as the lead. And I think this was her first acting role. And she had never danced or sang before. And she's so good. And she made me cry. Like, her character kind of breaks your heart a little bit. It's not a sad story. It's just lighthearted fun. It is so, so good. It's a visual experience. Like, if you're eating something, don't be looking down at your food. You have to watch the musical numbers. It's amazing. I highly, highly recommend this. Alexander Nevsky, directed by the great Eisenstein. Yeah, I said that. I didn't say Einstein, right? It's Eisenstein. This is from 1938, if I didn't mention that. Soviet era film. And it takes place in the 13th century, you know, the 1200s. And the Teutonic Knights invade Russia, and this prince, they go to war. He helps defend his country. Now, this film it was very influential for many filmmakers that came later. My daughter was watching it and she mentioned, you know, like Lord of the Rings and some other epics. And it has a score by Prokofiev. You know, Prokofiev. I love Prokofiev. It's beautiful. So yeah, if you like epics and the Middle Ages or Soviet film or all of the above, I really recommend this. Did we watch anything else? I wrote down a list in case there was anything that I forgot that we watched. I watched some movies alone when I was really sick. I watched the movie, what was it called? Tulip Fever. BB from Pure Red Velvet had recommended it to me, and it was really good. I don't remember who directed it or anything, but that's not a movie for the family. But it was interesting that she had mentioned that movie because I had just talked about the Tulipomania that I had just read in the book, The Madness of Crowds. So it was all about that. And I watched another movie. It was about Dylan Thomas and his wife, Caitlin, and their friendship with these people. What was it called? Keira Knightley was in it. It was called The Edge of Love. Another movie that's not for the family, but if you know me, you know I love Dylan Thomas, so that was why I watched that. It was pretty good too. Cillian Murphy is in it too. And my daughter wanted to watch some more Katharine Hepburn films after she, after watching Little Women from 1933. I think that was directed by George Cukor. I had put that movie on when I was untrimming the tree. We tend to untrim the tree really late, and it was especially late this year because I was sick. But yeah, she got into that, and then she said she wanted to watch more Katharine Hepburn films, and I had a handful of them. So we watched Stage Door and Morning Glory, and she told me that both of those films are about young women struggling to become known as actresses. Like stage actresses, and those were like, what is the word, melodramas. Like there's some pretty sad things that happen in the films, but she told me that those two were her favorites of the Katharine Hepburn movies. She really liked those, and we're going to watch Philadelphia Story soon. That's an obvious classic. So I think that's it for films that we've watched recently. What else did we do? I don't know. I mentioned how we had bought a bunch of records as a family. So let's see. All right, Tchaikovsky 1812 Overture. This is conducted by Bernstein, New York Philharmonic. So this actually might have been what prompted the West Side Story viewing, because we were in the shop and I saw this and I was like, oh, Bernstein, because, you know, I have a recording or two of the 1812 Overture. And my daughter is like, who's Bernstein? And I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, you are getting rusty, girl, because she used to know like who everybody was, and we used to watch his, you know, educational programs for young people. But she just, you know, when you're young like that, when you're little, sometimes something that happened when you're 8, you don't remember when you're 13. So I'm like, Bernstein. So we listened to this when we got home, and I'm like, yeah, we have to watch West Side Story. What else? Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto No. 1. Isn't this beautiful? So pretty. Okay, Camelot. This is, you know, the Broadway production, the stage production, Richard Burton and Julie Andrews. You guys have probably heard me talk about, oh, this is so lovely. You've probably heard me talk about Camelot before. Sorry, I need my throat's drying up. You've probably heard me talk about the film, which stars Richard Harris, and I love Richard Harris too. But Richard Burton became really, really well known for breaking this role in on stage. So Camelot is, it was never my favorite musical, like musically, like composition wise. There's a couple of songs, of a couple of tunes that I really like. I love the lyrics. Maybe in some video I'll go over what my true favorite musicals are, like West Side Story, Fiddler on the Roof. Those are a couple. But I love the story. I love the actual story, and the film is beautiful and the acting is great. And it is based on one of my favorite books that you guys have heard me talk about quite a few times, The Once and Future King by T.H. White. So if you know, I know I've said this before, but maybe you haven't heard me talk about it before. The Sword in the Stone, Disney's Sword in the Stone, which is another one of my favorite movies of all time. That is the first half of T.H. White's Once and Future King. And then Camelot, this story here that you see on stage and in the film, is the second half of the book. And it is so full of wisdom, and just, it will break your heart, but it's so worth it. All right, so I have I have a few different recordings of this on CD and on record, but when we were in Salem, I couldn't resist this. Oh, the plastic is still on it, so it's all glare, but do you see that? It's, you know, The Rite of Spring, again, Stravinsky. But I loved the art. I love the artwork. It's so cool. All right. Schubert quintets. Yo-Yo Ma. Love me some Schubert. Another beautiful record. My daughter wanted to buy a record, like her first record. She has some CDs, but she doesn't have any records that are her own. And we were in a couple of shops. We went to the mall one day, and Barnes & Noble. I think we were at Barnes & Noble, and there were some records. And she showed me a couple, and, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm a jerk, but not to be mean to anybody, but there were a few people that she showed me, and I was like, I don't know. Because, like, when we buy records, when we have to pay full price for them, usually I only buy the record if it's something that I love. Like, so I was like, why don't we find somebody that we think that we're still going to want to listen to in a couple of years? And she brought me this, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do Lana Del Rey. So it was so cute. We got home, and she's like, can I play my record? And we're like, yeah, sure. So my boyfriend set her up with the record, and she sat there on the floor and listened to the whole record. Just like, you know, like we used to do. Like, I used to do that. My boyfriend used to do that, and we all listened to it, and it was great. So yeah, that was fun. And also that same day, I was happy to find this in Newberry Comics. It's a record that I had my eye out for. It's The Doors, Alive She Cried. They finally put this back in production. It's some additional live recordings. They had done the live album while Jim was still alive. Oh, what is it called? I have it. I can't remember. Absolutely Live. And then this is part 2 of that, and it's awesome. And let me see if I can show you. It's green. Oh, it's green. Love it. So, and then I finally got this. I had tried to order this once from Amazon, and they canceled my order, probably because they couldn't fulfill my request. And I tried again through another website, and I got it. It's a CD. It's The Doors live in Pittsburgh, because this is a really good concert, really good recording. So there you have it for records. Okay. So, why do I keep doing that? He's shaking again. I think I get that from my mom. She'll like clap, like her hands, we talk with our hands a lot. Like, I don't know. I think it's a nervousness thing. So let's see, books, or not books, sorry. I told you I wasn't going to talk much about books. Decks, what decks am I using? I'm not going to show you too many because I feel like I showed all of these in my January and February at present. Like I showed all the decks that I had used a lot, and it's pretty much the same. So, but in addition to that, I've been using my Spirit Cats again. I like pulling this out in the morning when my kitty cat is up in bed with me. This is just very comforting for me when I'm not feeling very well, when I'm tired and run down. And if you don't know this deck, it's one of these guys, like, you know, the words of wisdom are on the back. It's so cute. It's so darling. Oh, love that one. So yeah, Spirit Cats. And, you know, the Jodorowsky Chamois, I showed this, and I know I showed this one recently in my, I don't even know what that video was about, but it was basically an app present. But I'll try to do a better job showing the cards. I'm sure that this will pop up in some videos to come. Maybe at some point I will film a part 2 of my Marseille collection video. I'll probably wait a while though, because I feel like I did it, I don't know, like a year ago or something. Yeah, I already mentioned this is the real deal. Like there's a lot of fakes out there, I guess. But really nice cardstock. Yeah, I'm so glad that I finally got this and was able to get it reasonably. I love the colors in here. So, also, I got, actually around the same time that I got the deck, I finally got the Jodorowsky Way of the Tarot Spiritual Teacher in the cards. I'm so excited for this. I've wanted to read this for such a long time. And I don't know, for a while it was sort of on the pricey side. And my income was not a few years ago what it is now. But not only that, I felt like I know myself, right? I know myself so well, okay? So I knew that if I was going to read this book and they were going to show examples of the cards, even though I had, you know, a good collection of Marseille, I knew it was going to drive me crazy that I didn't have the deck. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So I was able to get the deck and I got the book, and I'm just so thrilled. And I don't know when I'm going to read it. I want to read it now, but I know that would be foolish because I'm really just trying to finish up the books that I have. And I want to read I want to finish the Camellia Alias book, Read Like the Devil. And now that I caught up with some of the other books, I think I'm going to do that. Wouldn't that have been cool if Jodorowsky had filmed his Dune film? I don't know if all of you know that, but Jodorowsky is also a filmmaker, like an avant-garde filmmaker, and he had all these plans for Dune. There's a documentary out there called Jodorowsky's Dune, and I haven't seen it. I need to see it, but so interesting, right? I'm still using my Adapt Tarot, of course, and I know I've showed this a couple times in my recent videos, and I know that I'll be showing it again, so I'll try not to be too repetitive. Still loving that, and my Oracle Alma Boss. and also the little JJ Swiss from Honey Lou. I just love this little deck. I just do. Yeah. I think I mentioned how I like that it's different from my other JJ Swiss. The cards are a little thinner and the texture is a little bit different. And I just really, really, really love the backs. But I don't know. I just keep reaching for this. I have a bunch of decks on my nightstand, which, speaking of that, I have to get new nightstands. And I don't know where I want to get them from. It would be nice if I could find something, you know, secondhand, well made. Everything is just overpriced, but I've really been enjoying this Letero, the Doti. It's a Doti, or is it Doti? I don't know how you pronounce that. You know what I'm saying. I forget the first name now. There's just too many decks. But look how big these cards are. I've never seen such a large one. So for comparison, the JJ Swiss, this is a little smaller. Yeah, so all right, the Jodorowsky is like your standard size. See, it's pretty big. I think it's fun, and I love the cardstock. I don't know, the readings, I mean, I haven't used it too many times, but I used it today, and so I can't give really any long-term thoughts on it, but unless I just said this, it reads pretty accurately for me, and it just feels so nice to hold. And yeah, I'm still using my Jean-Claude Fleur Noir Dodal. Love this one too. So yeah, I've been using a lot of Marseille. This is the most current printing of this, so you can find it for a reasonable price. It was a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be. I used to see it all the time. It was like a bit out of my budget, you know. But yeah, I really like everything about it. What else happened recently? I don't know. I don't think there's really much else to report. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing well and everyone's staying healthy. And I guess that'll about do it until the next time. I'm not sure. Like I said, I still am planning on doing a part 3 of my picture books picture book decks tag, because there were some other books that I wanted to show. There's some other books that I've gotten while we've been out. Like, I've been trying to hunt for books that I had as a child, and I don't remember the titles of the books. I only remember the art, as I mentioned in my videos. But while doing that, while trying to hunt down some books using some keywords, I have found some other things from the same era that I just loved. And I didn't feel guilty that I was taking it away from a child, because they're vintage books, you know, and they reprint them, and, you know, it's not a big deal. And it's so, and I have some other decks too. I have some other decks, and some of them that I forgot to show, and a couple that were new to my collection. So I plan on doing that. I also have plans to do a like a stationary journal video, because I know a couple people want to see that. I'm an avid diary keeper, journal keeper, planner keeper, and also fountain pens, because I got into that. So I don't know if I'll show pens in the same video or not, But, and I think I'll also do another film video. I know I talked at length about film here, but I went on a sort of a film buying haul, and I bought some Criterion stuff. So I don't know. These are all videos that I'm hoping to make soon, but we'll see. All right, everybody, take care. Thanks for visiting. Bye bye.